سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم تسليما كثيرا إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. In this series on covering the ahadith of the Shama'il al-Muhammadiyah by Imam Tirmidhi, we are today inshallah to cover chapter 3 and chapter 4. Chapter 3 is about the hair of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, of which we've already discussed some aspects in the first chapter. This one will be in more detail, covering the hadith that speak about that, and the next chapter, hadith, contained the hadith about the combing of the hair of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So Imam Tirmidhi has actually separated a chapter in which he's mentioned 5 hadith about Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam's combing of his hair. You'll understand from the different things and details that are mentioned in there the significance of this, inshallah. As with the tradition of the muhaddithin, the hadith scholars will read through the hadiths first, and then we'll cover in translation and commentary those which give us the details, inshallah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وبالإسناد المتصل منا إلى الإمام الترمذي قال باب ما جاء في شعر رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. وبه قال حدثنا علي بن حجر قال أخبرنا إسماعيل بن إبراهيم عن حميد عن أنس بن مالك رضي الله عنه قال كان شعر رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إلى نصف أذنيه. وبه قال حدثنا هناد بن السري قال أخبرنا عبد الرحمن بن أبي الزناد عن هشام بن عروة عن أبيه عن عائشة رضي الله عنها قالت كنت أغتسل أنا ورسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من إناء واحد وكان له شعر فوق الجمة ودون الوفرة. وبه قال حدثنا أحمد بن منيع قال حدثنا أبو قتن قال حدثنا شعبة عن ابن إسحاق عن البراء بن عازب عن أبي إسحاق عن البراء بن عازب رضي الله عنه قال كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم مربوعا بعيد ما بين المنكبين وكانت جمته تضرب شحمة أذنيه. وبه قال حدثنا محمد بن بشار قال حدثنا وهب بن جرير بن حازم قال حدثني أبي عن قتادة قال قلت لأنس كيف كان شعر رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال لم يكن بالجعد ولا بالسبت كان يبلغ شعره شحمة أذنيه. وبه قال حدثنا محمد بن يحيى بن أبي عمر المكي قال حدثنا سفيان بن عيينة عن ابن أبي نجيح عن مجاهد عن أم هانئ بنت أبي طالب رضي الله عنها قالت قدم رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم مكة قدمة وله 4 غدائر. وبه قال حدثنا سويد بن نصر قال حدثنا عبد الله بن المبارك عن معمر عن ثابت البناني عن أنس رضي الله عنه أن شعر رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم كان إلى أنصاف أذنيه. وبه قال حدثنا سويد بن نصر قال حدثنا عبد الله بن مبارك عن يونس بن يزيد عن الزهري قال حدثنا عبيد الله بن عبد الله بن عتبة عن ابن عباس رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يسلب شعره وكان المشركون يفرقون رؤوسهم وكان أهل الكتاب يسلمون رؤوسهم وكان يحب موافقة أهل الكتاب فيما لم يفرق فيه بشيء ثم فرق رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم رأسه. وبه قال حدثنا محمد بن البشار قال حدثنا عبد الرحمن بن مهدي عن إبراهيم بن نافع المكي عن ابن أبي نجيح عن مجاهد عن أم هانئ قالت رأيت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ذا ضفائر 4. So that's the 5 ahadith related to the chapter about the hair of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Some of these have already passed by in the first chapter, so we won't need to discuss them. We'll just discuss those which are different. Firstly, what this chapter consists of is it speaks about the length of the hair of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, how short it may have ever been, how long it used to be when he would leave it to be long, and what did he used to do to his hair? How did he used to keep it? Aside from the size, was there a certain style, as we would call it today? Was there a certain style of a hairstyle that he would adopt? So all of that is actually discussed here. And the whole purpose of reading this is so that it gives us guidance of how we should keep our hair. And I'm sure there's something in both of these chapters that all of us can learn something from. Whether it be the size of the hair, if there's some confusion about that, along with then the style of the hair, how to comb your hair. Should you do a middle parting, or is it best to leave it all going in one direction? Can you braid your hair, meaning plait your hair? So all of these things are discussed here. The first hadith is from Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhu, and this one is a very simple hadith in which he relates that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam's hair was up to halfway down his ears. So when you look at this and you look at all of the other hadith, you'll find that this is probably the shortest hair that he had it when it was long, aside from when he shaved it. Look out for this. You'll find that Prophet ﷺ never trimmed his hair other than this. He always kept it long. There's no such thing as trimming his hair. He either had it completely shaved. That was a few times when he went for Umrah or Hajj. So the times that he went for Umrah or Hajj, he shaved it. And every other time it was kept long. There was no such concept of keeping short hair, short cropped hair, or short on one side or short on the other side. There was nothing like that. It was just generally long. How long was it? From this hadith, this hadith probably tells us the shortest level, right? That's been transmitted, which is that halfway down the ears. Otherwise, most of the other ones they speak about to the earlobes, then beyond the earlobes, and then up to the shoulders. We've read some of these already. So the longest we would have it is that it would touch his shoulders, it would hit his shoulders, and the shortest, in general sense, is halfway to his ears. And then you'll understand from the style that he kept it, how it could be up to his ears. And the fact that you've got different hadiths, different narrators saying his hair was, Prophet ﷺ's hair was halfway down the ears, up to the earlobes, halfway down towards the shoulders, up to his shoulders, it's all down. So the more closer he got to the Umrah, the longer it was going to be. Because that's really the only time that he cut it. So generally the idea was just to leave your hair. But you'll understand from the next chapter that it's not about just leaving your hair. It's about looking after it. Because the Prophet ﷺ says one hadith, and he says it so beautifully. He says, "Man kana lahu sha'run falyukrimhu." Whoever has hair, he should honor it. Whoever has hair, he should respect it and honor it. Keep it dignified looking. And we'll learn more about that later. But that's just such a beautiful statement that just sums it all up. That yes, have your long hair, but look after it. And some of us would be very surprised by the way Rasulullah ﷺ used to look after his hair. So, inshallah, we're going to be recalibrated in our understanding of our personal grooming and hygiene, right? Those who are in the excess, inshallah, then those, we can try to be moderated and recalibrated to equilibrium, and those who are have shortcoming in looking after their hair, they can, inshallah, reach a higher status and aspire for the sunnah level, inshallah. That's the benefit of this. The next hadith is hadith number 25, for those who are following it. In this, you've got a number of narrators, and I just want to speak a bit about Urwa. It's related from Hisham ibn Urwa. Hisham ibn Urwa is the son of Urwa ibn Zubayr. That is Urwa ibn Zubayr ibn al-Awam. So Az-Zubayr ibn al-Awam is the grandfather, who is the husband of Asma radiallahu anha, the daughter of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu. He had a lot of children, but Abdullah ibn Zubayr and Urwa ibn Zubayr, these are the two famous ones. This one is Urwa ibn Zubayr. Ibn Shihab az-Zuhri, one of the great hadith scholars, who's actually considered responsible for starting the tradition of collecting hadith together in written form, away from the oral tradition, so that it remains preserved. Ibn Shihab says that Urwa كان عروة بحرا لا يقدر ولا يقدر. Urwa was like an ocean that was not polluted, an unadulterated, pure watered ocean, meaning his knowledge was such, which is pristine, pure knowledge. Ibn Uyayna, another great hadith scholar, says Urwa was the most knowledgeable person about the hadiths of Aisha radiallahu anha. And the reason for that is she was his aunt. She was his aunt because he was the daughter, he was the son of her sister, her older sister. So because she was such a prolific narrator, she narrated many ahadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so close to him. Her nephews were able to go and benefit and take those ahadith from her and transmit them. He is considered to be the most knowledgeable about the hadiths of Aisha. If there was a confusion about whether she related something or not, he would be the final judge on that. That's how knowledgeable he was. He was also considered one of the famous, there's a group of 7 fuqaha, jurists of Medina Munawwara, considered to be the famous 7. That's what the fuqaha as-sab'a, they said. The 7 jurists. They were the ones that were known for giving fatwas and dealing with the jurisprudence, juridical issues. So he was one of them. The others were Ubaidullah, Urwa, Qas. There's a poem that they've got for فَخُذْهُمْ عُبَيْدُ اللَّهِ عُرْوَةِ قَاسِمْ سَعِيدْ أَبُو بَكْرْ سُلَيْمَانَ and Kharija. They're the 7. He relates from Aisha radiallahu anha. Now the other thing that we'll be covering in this is that the hadith will not just be speaking about the hair of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because the discussion of the hair of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam will normally come as part of a more extended narration about the scene in which it's taking place. So in this one, Aisha radiallahu anha says that I used to bathe together with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. أغتسل أنا ورسول الله. I used to bathe with Rasulullah. We used to bathe together, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that was we used to bathe together from one vessel. So the water was shared. He would take, I would take. So they were simultaneously bathing at the same time. There is another narration of hers, a variant of this, which says that although we used to bathe together, مَا رَأَيْتُ مِنْهُ وَلَا رَأَى مِنِّي. He never saw my private parts, neither did I ever see his private parts during the course of this. However, this does not make it impermissible to do that. This was just what they did. Right? This was the Prophet ﷺ's practice with Aisha radiallahu anha. There are narrations about the other wives of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he did see. It wasn't that it was prohibited in that way. It just happened to be the practice here. But this gives us an understanding about the close relationship between a husband and a wife. So again, those who haven't understood this and based on their culture may not feel that this is suitable for them. They should look at the greatest man that ever lived, the greatest and the most pious human creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that ever lived. And he gives us the best example. And these are all things by which the relationship between the spouses, the husband and wife, is enhanced, because the human requires these things. These are for the benefit of human being, they're one side of the human being. And if a person deprives himself of doing these things, it's fine as long as it's fine. But one mustn't deprive themselves if it's for the betterment of their relationship, because it's completely permissible. The ulama mentioned that had it been wajib, or let's put it in the different words, haram, to look at one another when bathing, then it would have been wajib and necessary to cover up while bathing. But that is not the case. This was something very particular